Hey everybody, Captain Murphy here from Salty Sea Dodge Games. Today we're going to talk about an asset we've got, which is the 24-pound Blomefield pattern cannon. This is a gun that was used in the 1780s and 1790s up until about the mid-1800s, so it can fit a number of different eras. This one here we've designed so that it has multiple different colors of carriages, which we can fit in nationalities. We've even got multiple barrels and other things like that. So I'm going to break this into a couple of pieces. The first part I'm going to talk about the visuals and then run it through an already wired in gun. So it's already got things tied up to these buttons down here. And then the second half I'm going to show you how the buttons are actually wired in and covers how the script actually works. So the first thing I'm going to show you is that there are 6 different carriages that it comes with, and these are matched to colors that were common at the time. So this is Nelson Yellow, Royal Red, things like that. We've even got a plain wood one here. So if you're planning on doing more of a piratical style, you got a nice pirate ship. And these are a little beat up, they're a little worn. They've got wear where the tackles would be at, there's wear on the coin where the gun would be sliding, there's wear on the coin plate where the coin slides back and forth. So these are kind of beat up, they look like they've been around the block a couple times. Each one of these carriages has 3 LODs. And the wheels are separated from the carriage, so if you wanted to rotate them yourself or add your own animations, they're ready to go ahead and do that. If you want to do them procedural animation, again, they're already set as their origin, so they can roll right where they're at without any problems. The barrels, we have 3 different barrels that come with it. The first one is a nice clean one. You'll see that each one has the royal cipher on it for King George III. The second one is a iron gun, but it's got a little bit of wear, so it's probably been sitting out somewhere and no one's been maintaining it. We've also included a bronze texture for it. Typically these wouldn't have been cast in bronze just due to the cost, but they are a very striking appearance, so we decided to go ahead and add a bronze one in there as well. These over here are 6 separate prefabs. These are already ready to go. They're actually wired up and they're ready to use. And so we went ahead and added the prefabs. We've got 6 of these and they're ready to go. We went ahead and left the plain clean steel on the barrels, and you can replace that texture with any one of these. Very simply, you just gotta change the texture on each one of the meshes. These barrels also have 3 LODs on them, so they also have a nice LOD pattern. Okay, so over here, we're gonna take a look at one of these that's already wired in, and we're gonna run it through its paces real quick before we do that. So these brass monkeys come with it. You also get a physical cannonball that you can use, and it's also weighted, and the rigid body is designed so that it should be about realistic. So it should fly the right distance based on the muzzle velocity. So what I've done is set up this script here so that it fires at the approximately correct muzzle velocity, which is about 500 meters a second, and at its maximum elevation it should reach around 4,200 meters, which this one actually does. So it's pretty close to being a realistic representation. So we're going to go ahead and aim downrange, and I put a couple of big boxes down there so we can shoot at them. We're going to go ahead and lower the elevation way down. We're going to try to shoot that box out from under the other one there. So we're looking pretty good right there. I'm going to go ahead and back out and fire the gun, and we're going to fire it at full speed, and we're going to watch it jump back. We've included some basic particle effects to get you started so that you can replace it with some better ones yourself. These are pretty rough, but they have at least a locator and show you how they work. So we saw that it jumped around, bucks back. Let's go ahead and do a reset. You can watch the wheels actually match to the ground, so they roll back up into the front. This is all done using Mecanim, so that's very simplistic to run. You just call for the Mecanim state and it goes through the rest. This time we're going to go ahead and do it in slow motion. We're going to watch it hit that lower one again. And this time, you can watch it kind of bucks and bounces around as the cannon actually would. Okay. You can see the target downrange flying away. So the current script will go back to full speed once the ball disappears or it gets destroyed. Or makes it more than 1,000 meters away, so you may get stuck in slow-mo for a while if the ball doesn't actually go and disappear. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at how the scripting works on it. It's actually very simplistic. We've added all these prefabs over here. If you look on this left-hand side, we've grouped them all into this collection of prefabs. If you go into the Salty Sea Dogs folder, there's a whole prefabs folder that's going to have the brass monkeys and all of the guns and the cannonball itself. So each one of these is already wired up. They have an LOD group already on them that controls all the LOD on them, and it also has an animate and an elevate script which controls how it works. So to break these down, the animate carronade script, it is pretty simple. It exposes a couple of public methods which allows it to fire and reset. So the locator on this, that tells it where to create the smoke effect. So if you're looking at one of these prefabs, that's where the smoke effect is created, and this quaternion direction, that rotation direction, is what direction the ball is going to fly. So if you want to create some sort of essentially inaccuracy, you can just take a randomization on that locator and point it a little bit off. That'll give you some randomization when you fire the guns. So this one here is already wired up to the buttons. So it's very easy to do. It's got the public methods for the animate, has the fire and the reset, and that calls the Mecanim and causes it to run through its animations. And just like on the carronades, it's just got these two states, fire and reset, and that's it. So there's not much else to it. It has firing, which tells it whether it's currently in the firing process, and that's all that it keeps track of. So you can call these on your own. You can use our script to see how it works. It's pretty straightforward. The second script, the elevation, is the one that actually manages the barrel and the coin. So with this one here, it knows the max elevation, the min elevation of both the coin and the barrel, and you just tell it through a public method by sending a float to it between 0 and 1 where you want the current elevation to be, and then it moves that elevation for you. So it's very easy to do. With this, what I've done is I've created a canvas, and I've added 3 buttons to it and a slider. The 3 buttons is a fire, which passes to the 24-pound gun and calls the fire method. The reset, again, calls the gun, calls the animate carronade reset. And the slow-mo fire, which calls the same fire before but passes it a Boolean value, which tells it to go in slow motion, which then slows down time at the beginning of the firing process and speeds it back up when the ball is destroyed. The last thing is the slider, which calls the 24-pound gun the elevate cannon script and sends it set elevation. And what this one is doing is it's using a dynamic float, so it just passes the value of the slider to the value change, sends it to the set elevation, and passes that float in, which then the gun will then respond to and elevate itself. So there's really not much to them. They're very easy to set up. You can wire them in yourself, and we really kind of included the this animate carronade as an example because it creates the ball itself. You'll want to manage your own, cannonballs, but we went ahead and created the prefab, so there's no pooling or anything on this. You'll want to manage that yourself. But this gives you a good example of how this all goes together. It also has a smoke prefab ready for you, so you can use that, or you can add your own prefab in there as well. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, get a hold of us at saltyseadogs.net or on the Asset Store. Thanks.